don't want to be bad with money anymore. I'm in my 40s, like I need to get it together. We're gonna talk about money, specifically debt and not having the money. I do hope that the long-term effects of minimalism and money will change the way I feel about money. Minimalism is not living with the bare minimum, with living without things. It is about living with less and living intentionally. The average household carries $8,400 in credit card debt. Let me flash you back to 1994. On a college campus, walk into the cafeteria and there are booths set up outside the cafeteria preying on people like me who don't understand the magnitude of opening a credit card. I remember the offer. This was 25 years ago. I got a free reusable water bottle. I have been in a relationship with this card for 25 years. Started to ask it a couple of questions. How much do I pay you even if I don't use you? What is my interest rate? 29.99. The balance? $8,753.49 3 weeks ago, the start of the year. So on my community page on my YouTube channel, I asked you guys what you thought would be the best decision. Closing it and paying it off and then closing it, or keeping it open and paying it off. What in your experience would be the best decision? Out of 600 respondents, you guys were split right down the middle. Personal finance expert Susie Orman typically recommends that you do not close your credit cards. Many of the comments had suggested that the longevity of the card plays a role in your credit score, that closing down this credit card, closing the account completely would bring my credit score way down. And if you need a higher credit score for whatever reason in the future, that could be a factor. Dave Ramsey is a well-known expert on personal finance, so I listened to quite a few of his podcasts and his YouTube channel. Total Money Makeover is his book. Dave Ramsey says to close it, but that it will affect your credit score, but Dave Ramsey doesn't put priority on the credit score. I like a good credit score, so I am going to leave it open and pay it off, but what I am going to do is once I've paid it off, I'm going to call them back. And I'm going to give them a last chance to lower that APR way down. Moneyrates.com, you can calculate what the interest would be, and I did that. So if I keep paying a minimum in 2020 for 12 months of $350 to this credit card, I will end up paying $2,474.60 in interest. And I will have paid off about $1,300 of the credit card. Okay. The math there is awful. So in my budget, I am shooting to get an extra $1,000 a month over to that credit card. So if I send $1,000 in addition to that $350 minimum, it reduces the interest I'm going to pay this year to $679. Fortunately, in 2009, a law was passed that protects young consumers under the age of 21. It's called the Card Act of 2009. $60,902 we're starting 2020 with. Roughly half of that is credit card debt. $31,076 credit card debt. $5,096 in for the balance of a loan that we took out, and $23,229 in cars. I did not budget in 2019. I did switch to a low spend life in September and October. I made that switch as part of my journey towards minimalism. I stopped spending. I was purging from the house, realizing how much of an overspender I was, a maximalist, and then just stopped buying stuff. Another minimalist I follow, Ronald L. Banks, he just became debt-free.
I can officially say with all of the excitement that flows through me that as of December 31st, 2019, I am officially debt-free. Particularly my ignorance around thinking that debt was just always going to be there, or everyone has it, so it's quote unquote normal, right? But the truth is it's not normal, and everyone doesn't.
So inspiring. I enjoy his channel very much, and I look forward to making one of those of my own when we're debt-free as well. Jordan Page also did a really great video on budgeting, but her video, she recommends that you do 70% spending and 30% savings. So our numbers are not skewed to what Jordan Page recommends, but I don't know that I'm shooting for 70% spending, 30% savings. What I'm shooting for is debt-free. Here are the things I liked about my budgeting research. First, Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps. I like the principle. I like the idea of it. I can't visualize steps 3 through 7. They just feel too far away. They feel insurmountable. But 1 and 2 feels feasible. 1 is getting yourself an emergency savings fund, and 2 is paying off your debt. What I like was planning for future bills. They're called sinking fund accounts or sinking fund savings account. It's where you're sinking money into an account or sinking money into a cash envelope that you're saving for something specific that's going to come to you, like a trash bill, a sewer bill. We have 13 sinking funds. These are 13 things that pop up throughout the year. Setting aside 10, 20 bucks, whatever it needs to be for those items, it will make it possible for me to pay cash for those things and not have to put them on the credit card or worry about trying to pay for groceries and pay for gymnastics. By planning forward with those sinking funds, I'm going to be able to do. The thing I like was tracking every dollar. What I thought was a low spend, I mean, it is a low spend, but it could be lower. Those little $5, $10, $20 hits add up really fast. And so I became cognizant of that in January. I can't see 2020 holistically from a personal finance perspective. I just can't wrap my head around it. It feels too big, too much. 90 days is something I can see. I can see March. I can see paying bills in March. I can feel that. When you get to April, it gets a little gray. And within that 90 days, I set myself 3 priorities. Number 1, an emergency fund. I want $1,000 in emergency, at least $1,000 in an emergency fund. And that's Dave Ramsey's baby step number 1. Number 2, I want to start paying off the debt, and I want to go with a debt avalanche approach versus the debt snowball. The debt avalanche is where you pay off your bills, focusing on the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate. The debt snowball is where you pay off the lowest amount and roll that payment into the next one, and you ignore the interest rates or the APR. You roll that payment into the next payment, and it snowballs. The debt avalanche, you're paying off the same amount of money, but in faster time, so you're paying less interest. On the debt snowball, you pay more interest over time, but you get more psychological wins, where you get a quick payoff, and it starts snowballing for you, hence the name, debt snowball. The math for me got me motivated and excited. Paying it off faster, paying less interest. Sold. Avalanche it is. I'm just gonna send every extra dollar we have to that. I'm gonna make the minimum payment and make a second payment onto that card. I want to get that down as fast as I can. I do not have an end in sight of when I can do that. The math puts it at November. I'd like to say it sooner, because that's super depressing to be paying off a credit card for a whole year as a priority, and then here's the thing, on the other credit card has $22,000 at 11%, and I'm going to send that $500 a month, which is more than the minimum that they're asking for, but it's what I'm edging out to pay because I'm going to throw all the extra money to the first credit card. I still ended up with $2,300 in interest in 2020 on this card. So if I figure out a way to double this payment, so I'm paying them both into it at the same time, then I save about $700 in interest on the second credit card. Then I've had to come up with another $6,000 to be able to do that. And I think it's best to just eyes on the prize on the first card. Definitely leave me a comment below and let me know what you would do for a payoff. If you think my plan makes a lot of sense, if you've had some experience in this, I would love your feedback. Cash in hand seems to work for so many people. So I gave that a shot. It works really, really well, because when the cash is gone, you realize exactly how you're spending, and you can't just swipe your debit card or swipe your credit card because you're not allowing yourself to do that, and you're out of cash. I would end up putting groceries or sports fees on the credit card because I was afraid to pay cash for them and not have enough cash until the next paycheck. And so I was that habit of just, I don't want to do this just in case we need the cash. That decision making is perpetuating the debt. And I can't do that. When I would do that, I kept telling myself like, okay, the next paycheck, I'm just going to send I'm just going to send $500 to the credit card instead of $350. And that should cover what I just put on to the credit card. It doesn't work that way. And I was not making those payments of the additional, on top of minimum payment expectations. I wasn't making that extra. So it just kept getting worse and worse. In the next video, I am going to be sharing sinking funds, our cash envelopes, how much we're putting in them, how we're doing it, how's it working. We went to Panera Bread twice in January. When you start paying attention to it, you're like, really? Fed my family 2 times for $95? Cool. Was it delicious? Yes.